information. So where the information is actually exempted to say that no, this information cannot be accessed because probably it's information that is of public interest, which it's quite very unfortunate that such exemptions exist, because then information is where people make informed decisions, and when one is not given information because information is made to be classified because it is of high public interest, it is of security, national security in nature. Yes, we know, yes, those informations that are deemed to be security in nature must not be easily given to people. But I think there must be a way that information that is classified as public because of public interest, then information is not accessed by people. It really gets to limit the access to information, the right to access information by those that are actually entitled by the act to get information. Well, first of all, when there is some abrogation by the information holder, I think it is encouraging, or it is encouraged, that the requester must ensure that they get to the depth of it. Sometimes it could be that the information officer may not just want to give information, or may have their reasons, which reasons are actually not valid to not giving the information requester the information that they have requested. So they must exhaust the channels within the institution. But then if it fails, they have the right to appeal to the Human Rights Commission, because the Human Rights Commission is according to the law, the institution that is mandated to superintend over the access to information law. So, and if their appeal to the Human Rights Commission doesn't get favorable feedback as they may wish, they have all the right to appeal to the courts of law. Well, it goes without mentioning, because then this law brings to the fore matters of information. You see, there's a scripture in Hosea, I think chapter 5 in the Bible, that says, "My people perish because they have no knowledge." Now, knowledge is only brought into effect when you have information. If you don't have information about anything, you will not have knowledge about that particular thing. So for individuals, for citizens and CSOs not to perish, they must really ensure that they utilize this act. They must ensure that this act is actually utilized to the fullest for them to appreciate that at the end of the day they will have information that they need. CSOs cannot operate without information. There are certain decisions that CSOs need to make. There are certain strategies, there are certain campaigns, there are certain programs that CSOs need to embark on, and you cannot embark on anything if you do not have the right information. So you need this law to take advantage of this law and seize the opportunity as individuals, but also as CSOs, to ensure that your work is made easy. You can only make your work easy when you have information and you make your decisions promptly. You make your decisions that are healthy and informed, and then you move forward in a more productive way. You cannot talk about transparency and accountability when you don't have information. So, I mean, on what basis do you hold someone accountable if you don't have information that this is the amount of money that was budgeted for, and it is in the yellow book, and you don't have access to the yellow book, and also this is the money that was disbursed, you don't have that figure, this is the money that was utilized, you don't have what the balance is. So you need all this chain of information for you to be able to ensure that you call for matters of accountability, matters of transparency, and also to ensure that we espouse and enhance credibility and integrity in our society. Well, first of all, I must indicate that I sit here with pride, but also with humility, that this journey has been walked, or has been traveled or traversed for a long period of time, maybe the longest, if anything. We started this journey way back, even before 2002, where an information law or bill was, Freedom of Information Bill was taken into Parliament, withdrawn at the second reading because of certain reasons that such a law that gets resources from the Treasury should be given by, or should be taken into Parliament by the executive or someone from the executive, but because then it was brought to the fore through a private member's motion or bill. So even before that, we have been pushing for the freedom of information or access to information. But then, and the fight has been on and on for the longest period. When the access to information law was actually passed in Parliament, that was one of my exciting moments as vice chairperson of the Access to Information Coalition. The Access to Information Coalition has is one of the biggest coalitions in the country, and I couldn't hide my excitement. We quickly got together and issued statements to thank those that had passed this law. The regime that is in place now, the UPND government, they passed this law, and then it was assented to by the President of the Republic, President Hakainde Hichilema. So for me, I got really excited. But then we continued to push, because then the law was given, there was no commencement order. We continued also to ensure that we had the right thing done. We pushed Minister of Information and Media, the President himself, and government generally, and they responded. The minister gave the commencement order in June 2024. It was also an exciting moment, because then at that time when the order was given, that was now the beginning of things. At the Section 8 regarding the proactive disclosure was now in place. The other parts were awaiting the tools, the regulations, the rules, and the guidelines. But then now we have everything in place. The rules are in place, the regulations are in place, and the guidelines are in place. And for us, we are so excited, and it's just our clarion call on all citizens of the Republic, resident permit holders, institutions? Can we ensure that we begin to put this act into its right perspective by utilizing it? We can't have it in a moribund form, just it gathering dust on shelves. We must utilize it. Let us read it. Let us read the guidelines, the rules, and the regulations for us to fully understand and ensure that we have it implemented. We are also part of the implementers, because without requesting information, then it's not implemented. We need to do that, but we also are on the part of monitoring, because we need to ensure that those that are charged with the responsibilities that are espoused in this act do what is right, and ensure that this act does not only benefit citizens or institutions, but benefits the country as a whole, because that is a cornerstone for development. Okay, so let me begin by saying that the act is under the parent portfolio ministry of the Ministry of Information and Media, save to indicate that the body, according to the act itself, that is given the mandate to superintend over the act is the Human Rights Commission. Now, in terms of the three things that help the act to be implemented, the rules were done by the judiciary, and because of course we know that the rules are always with those that are mandated to deal with the law, but there are rules that we need to follow as the information requesters, but also even as the information holders. What rules pertain to what is supposed to be done with this particular act? The regulations are just generally what regulates what is in the act. How we are regulated as individuals, as requesters, and as information holders, in terms of how do we behave with the act itself, but also the guidelines. The guidelines now, they stipulate step by step what we need to do. How do you request information? For example, I did mention that if you look at the regulations, they will tell you that you need a form to be able to access this information, and this is also contained in the act in section 40. But then the guidelines now guide you on where to get that form, how to fill that form in, and also guides the information holder how the requester is supposed to be to request information, whether it's orally or in written. And if it's orally, it also guides the information holder that they must do it for the requester. The requester gives the request orally. For them now, they are reducing it to being contained on the form that is provided in all these tools, but also more emphasized and comprehensively so in the guidelines. Well, my last words are, first of all, to speak to those of us that are here in this room, that we must be the first ones to test this act. Let's go and request information from these information orders. from these government ministries, local authorities, parastatals, and private bodies that have information that is deemed of public significance, but also going to the general public. You see, information is power. Without information, we can't do anything. And I did quote Hosea in the scriptures that you will perish without information. You will make dangerous decisions because you have no information. You will mislead others because of lack of information. You will misinform others. And that is not that is actually, if you go to another law, the cyber law, it will catch you, because then misinformation is actually deemed to be a crime. So let us not commit crimes because of ignorance or because of laziness. Let us go out there. Let us read these. You can access them. You can Google them. You can find them on the parliamentary website. You can find them on MISA website. You can find them everywhere. So get hold of these, read them, and begin to access information. You are where you are because you have failed to develop, you have failed to improve your life because you don't have certain information. But here is a chance. Here is an opportunity that has been given, that the right to access information is exercised by yourself. And if you don't grow, you don't develop, you don't improve, you don't move from where you are, don't complain, because the facilities are there. And the first facility for you is the Access to Information Act and its accompanying tools. Read it, read them, grasp them, go and access information. You'll be able to know when to access CDF loans, when to access or how to access bursaries and so on and so forth. Then you move from your stage of complaints or complaining to another stage of you empowering yourself, and also ensuring that you empower your community and the country as a whole.